Hey guys, I hope you have had much better weeks than I've had. As you can probably tell, not a single hairbrush has touched my hair today. I usually go to church on Sundays, but I was just so exhausted that I couldn't today. I had to just lay in bed and sleep for 3 more hours. I woke up this morning at about 8:30 and I went back to bed at 9:30 and then woke up again at about 1:30, so yeah, that's 3 hours. So I've been having anxiety attacks, and it's different from panic attacks. What it is just intense feelings of anxiety when there's not really a trigger, or sometimes there is a trigger. It kind of just depends on the situation. But in the case last night and 2 days ago, there wasn't really a trigger. So let's talk about some of the physical symptoms of anxiety attacks, because the one 2 nights ago, the first one, was enough to make me think I had a physical illness. I was nauseous, I had chills, and my heart was just beating so fast. I normally can't feel my heart beating in my chest, but I could feel it. And I just laid down in bed, and it wasn't until I was talking with my girlfriend a little later that I started feeling better, and she's like, I think you were just having an anxiety attack. So yeah, as you can imagine, the whole experience is rather unpleasant, and it's not really something I would wish upon anybody. What I really wanted to talk about was last night's anxiety attack. So last night I got kind of wrapped up in thinking about my childhood, and if you've been following my videos, you'll know that I was a very anxious child and that I did not get any sort of early intervention for my anxiety. And so childhood was a very scary time for me. There is something traumatic about growing up with anxiety and at the same time being expected to act like someone who doesn't have anxiety. And last night I got caught up in feeling like a kid again, and just feeling the anxiety just coursing through me, my heart going absolutely nuts inside my rib cage. And there wasn't a trigger. 2 nights ago I was depressed, I was getting borderline triggers, and it kind of slowly overcame me. Last night it just came on really suddenly. There was kind of no warning. I just suddenly felt like I was being swallowed up by this void. And so what this is a kind of anxiety attack called an emotional flashback. It's where your emotions start acting the way they did when you were a kid, basically, when you were experiencing this trauma. So it's like your body's in the present, but your mind's stuck in the past. So like you're just straddling the line between past and present, and I couldn't escape. I was texting my girlfriend to kind of help calm me down, and I was able to calm down enough to go to sleep eventually. But I woke up and it was like bam, it was still there. And so I meditated for about 7 minutes, I think, was how long the meditation was. And I felt better as soon as I was done with that. But I was still just absolutely exhausted from last night's events, and I still am, to be honest. I don't see my therapist until next week, which I'm kind of nervous about, because obviously I want to talk about these anxiety attacks and emotional flashbacks through with her. But I'm determined to hold out until my appointment and hopefully find some ways to self-soothe so it doesn't happen again. And I feel like there are probably people out there who do not understand just how traumatizing it was trying to navigate childhood, then adolescence, then being a teenager. I don't know what you would call that, teenagehood, whatever, with anxiety, with severe anxiety. So I'll tell you a story about when I was in 6th grade. I had this teacher, and she had a reputation for being really mean and for picking on the shy, quiet kids, which obviously I was, since I had severe social anxiety. So, I was either sick or on a field trip or something. I was probably sick, and I missed a test. Okay, so, you know, what you do is you go and you talk to your teacher and say, I was absent this day, when can I make this test up? And so I did that, and she said, you can make it up Thursday during enrichment. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's just like a study hall period that was given to us in junior high at different times of the day, depending on what grade you were in. But Thursdays, we had a special enrichment that was in the mornings. It was called, like, Time for Teachers, I think. And it was basically like they had a teacher meeting every week during Thursday enrichment. And so I went to go get my makeup test, and my teacher was not there because she was at Time for Teachers. And I was just, like, absolutely mortified. I didn't know what to do. So I just went back to my own class and kind of just dreaded the moment I'd have to go to 6th period, and kind of is my dog barking at my door? She definitely is. Give me 1 second. Okay, so my dog wanted to play, and so I got her set up with a toy, and now she's just having a grand old time. Okay, where was I? Time for Teachers. It was my 6th period class, so I was just dreading going to 6th period, and I think probably the worst possible thing that could have happened. She didn't say anything about it. She didn't mention it, and I didn't know what to do. Well, I mean, logically, I knew I should go up and say, hey, you weren't there during enrichment for me to take my test. And so, I mean, that seems like a simple fix, right? But okay, this teacher was downright scary. Like, that'd be a great thumbnail. So I just stayed quiet until a few days later. She's like, Morgan, why did you never come in to make up the test? And it was, instead of saying, you weren't there, I just said, oh, I forgot, just because my anxiety, and I know this doesn't make any sense, and that's the thing about anxiety, is it doesn't make sense. So it doesn't make sense why I would have told her I forgot instead of simply telling her, well, I showed up and you weren't there. And so she was like, okay, well then you got a 0 on your quiz, or test, or I think it was a quiz. And my mother was like absolutely not okay with that. So she's like, tomorrow you're gonna go up there to school and you're gonna talk to your teacher and you're going to get the quiz. You're gonna get a retest. And so basically what I did is I just laid in my bedroom sobbing and shouting, I can't do it, I can't do it. Because like I said, I mean, I'm sure everybody has a memory of one really bad teacher. To put things into perspective, we had to read our essays out loud at one point, and the essay had to be about something that bothered you, and somebody wrote about construction work taking a long time. And you know what, I'm not even ashamed to say it. Her name was Mrs. Key. So he was up there, this boy, reading his essay about how construction takes a really long time, and Mrs. Key's like, well, don't you think they're doing the best job they can? And just really unnecessarily sassy. And like, this boy like eventually started crying, and he's like, I just want them to fix the roads. Like, seriously, what is your problem if you're gonna tear apart a child's essay and start making them crying? Like, you shouldn't be teaching if that is your teaching method. So with that, lovely memory in mind, you know, how was I supposed to, with severe debilitating anxiety, explain anything to that woman? Like, and keep in mind, I also had selective mutism growing up, so that made talking just really hard in general, and it hadn't fully faded away by the time I was in 6th grade, and of course I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was wrong with me. So yeah, how was I supposed to be able to talk to this teacher? And it ended up with my mother kind of caving, and she sent an email to my assistant principal and said, look, this is what happened, can you help us out here? And so the assistant principal talked to my teacher, and she gave me a retest. But still, the whole experience just could have been avoided if I didn't have anxiety and selective mutism. And maybe it sounds silly, but to me it was really just unbearably scary. Another example is in 7th grade, there was a teacher who was like a dress code Nazi. And so I was wearing like a long shirt. It wasn't really a dress. It was like kind of between a shirt and a dress with leggings. And she sent me to the assistant principal's office for a dress code violation, because apparently my shirt wasn't long enough to cover my leggings, and I ended up crying really hard, and like in front of my assistant principal, and he just kind of said, well, just, you're fine today, just don't wear it again. So I had to go back to class, like, in tears. I was trying to pretend I just had allergies, so I was kind of coughing and sniffling. Like, oh yeah, I'm not absolutely devastated here. It's just some allergies. And I can laugh about it now, of course, because I can look back on it. But at the time, it was like a really scary thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I've gotten in trouble. And that's like a terrifying thing to someone with anxiety, and a kid especially. And so my mother was like, well, I bought you the shirt, so you're gonna wear them, just wear them with jeans. And I didn't want to do that because I was terrified of getting in trouble, like, again. And, like, the day I was wearing that shirt, like, with my jeans, I was, like, really nauseous until I managed to pass the second period where I had her class. And I was like, okay, I can get through this. Because, of course, it wasn't the shirt that was a problem, it was the leggings. Leggings has always been a huge problem for dress code where I went to school. I don't really know what it is that schools have against leggings, but, you know, it's whatever. And so, yeah, as you can imagine, that's just absolutely terrifying to a child with anxiety. And I don't know, maybe you think it's stupid, maybe you think I was scared for no reason, but my brain was sick. This was beyond my control. So whether you call me overdramatic or a crybaby or whatever, you have to understand that this was really traumatic for me. And those feelings of anxiety and being a kid again were what was kind of washing over me like waves last night. It's like most of the time I can just sit back and kind of laugh at my childhood with anxiety misadventures. Sometimes I look back at them and I feel really depressed because I'm like, my childhood was stolen from me basically by anxiety and selective mutism. And other times I can't stop thinking about it, and it's like I'm right back there, and that was last night. I was back there in my mind, just a little kid again, scared out of her wits. So yeah, that's the story of why I did not sleep last night. And my girlfriend is not a stranger to trauma, so she was able to kind of know what to say to kind of get me to calm down enough to finally just pass out. And for that, I am grateful, not because she had to endure the trauma, because of course I wish I could take the trauma away from her on a daily basis. but I was grateful that she was able to help me. And wow, this video has run on over a lot longer than I intended. That's kind of how it usually goes, though, I think. I sit down thinking I'll talk for 10 minutes and it ends up being 20. So once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments. It means a lot to me. I wasn't really sure what to expect when I first started making this vlog. If anyone was going to be interested in me rambling about my mental health problems, but apparently some of y'all are, and that's like amazing to me. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.